Hi and Assalamualaikum. My name is Putri Khairina Binti Muhammad Khairi. And for our final project, each group is given different performance appraisal methods. So in our case, our group is given the behavioral observational scale. And so for our today's presentation, we'll be discussing and focusing on the BOS, that is the behavioral observation scales. So let's move on to today's agenda. So we'll be discussing the introduction concept of the POS, how to develop the POS, the SWOT analysis and suggestion and recommendation, and finally the conclusion. So next, I will pass to Nur Azimah to tell us about the introduction.
Hi, madam. My name is AZIMAH Anwar. For our final project, our lecturer, Dr. Norain Abdullah, has assigned each group one performance appraisal method, and they are required to conduct an analysis and finding based on the given method. This report analysis must describe the details of the performance appraisal method, such as the procedures, process, and step-by-step how to conduct the appraisal, along with the SWOT analysis and suggestions regarding the performance appraisal method given. Before we move on to the main topic, we would like to explain briefly on what is the performance appraisal function and purpose in performance management. A performance appraisal is a systematic and periodic process of measuring an individual's work performance against the established requirements of the job. The performance appraisal process is a key part of how an organization manages the performance and growth of its employees. It entails assessing an employee's job performance and providing feedback on their strengths and weaknesses in order to improve employee performance evaluation and achieve organizational goals. There are various methods that managers and supervisors use to evaluate employees based on objective and subjective factors. For our final project, our group are going to focus and discuss on the behavior observation scale method.
So thank you, Azima. So now let's move on to the main contents and the main idea of this appraisal method. So what is actually behavioral observation scale in performance appraisal? So the definition, behavioral observation scale, known as BOS, is a tool used to assess and evaluate an employee's job performance based on specific observable behaviors and action. It aims to provide a structured and objective way to measure an employee objective assessmentee's performance, focusing on concrete behaviors that are directly related to their jobs and responsibility and aligning with the organizational goals. So the behavioral observation skills BOSS is developed by Gary Latham and Ken Wexley back in the 1970s. So as you can see here, the scale refers to five rating and five scales from almost never to almost always. So it is unlikely for any employees to have almost never and almost always because it will become an unrealistic measurement for each employee. So for example, I'll give a briefly example for the behavioral observation scale. We'll be comparing two salesmen, not on their productivity and their achievement at the end of the day, whichever salesman sells the item more has the highest rating. In our case, the behavioral observation scale focuses on the behavior and work etiquette of an employee when they are working. So it will it will involve the punctuality, the communication skill when it comes to customer service with clients, and a lot of more. So as you can see here, we have reviews in individual productivity result with managers, suggests to peers ways of building sales. So that is all example of what the observation scale could be relating to each job responsibility and the organizational goal. So each employee has different skills in the BOS scale because the BOS is designed specifically on their job responsibility. If the BOS for salesmen will be different from the BOS of the HR manager. That is one of the example. So that will be on the concept and the idea of the behavioral observation skills. So now let's move on to the usage of BOS in performance appraisal. As we all know, the idea of BOS and the concept of BOS is basically on ranking and rating the employees performance and their behaviors and morality and work etiquette in a when they are doing a certain responsibility. So as you can see here, first of all, we have development planning. Obviously, when we have all the results of the BOS and the rating and ranks of the employees, we can see and we can set each employees for their development planning. So each employee can be set with a certain target and objectivity when it comes to the upcoming years. So once they have received the boss evaluation, they will be given a new development planning for their career building from the managers, the coach, the mentor. All of that is related in the character building of the employee. So next will be the identification of training needs. This is related with the development planning. Employees that is lack of skill or training, or they just probably needed more training in development planning. Also, um, managers and HR expert will directly know if an employee is needed of training and coaching. So the boss really helps the managers to identify if an employee is lack of something or skill, or the behaviors is not as expected from the organizational. So there, the employees will be undergo more training and more coaching. Next, they will be giving specific feedback. So as you can see here, all of them is quite related in the same objective. So the employees will be giving specific feedback once the boss is rated, and if there's any negative sides and if there's any room for improvement, the manager can directly approach them and give them the specific feedback. So because all of their behaviors are calculated and total in the POS, it is easy for them, for managers to track down their lack and their specialties and their lacking of skills. So there they will improve themselves, and some can maintain themselves to be better, and they can achieve more in their working space. So next is the data-driven decision making. This involves more to the promotion or the termination of the employees' bonuses. When it comes to employees with lower BOS ratings and so on, probably the employees will take more consent onto them, maybe have a counseling session and so on, whether they can improve themselves, or they need to be terminated. Or some, for those who has higher BOS rating, they will be given bonuses, promotion. This is all easier, will help the HR manager to ease their decision making in the payroll and so on. So next is the objective assessment. So when it comes to objective assessment, when we look back to the um, traditional way can usually be a concern to the employees, because it can uh, appear to biases and perception of the employees. So it is not a fairly used method for the evaluators. Sometimes if the evaluators and the manager have a certain, personal problem, and maybe they just don't like the employees, so they might evaluate them unfairly. So this is like the opposite of what the traditional way is doing. So here, everything is calculated fairly through a system that is the BOS system. Everything is fairly calculated and observed every day. So this would definitely reduce the issue of biases in workplace, whether the employees is the employees is doing good or not. So this is very obvious, so that it is clear to the organization itself whether the employees is performing well or not. So the employees and the manager won't question the results at the end of the day. So that is all for the usage. So now I'll be passing on to Aina to discuss about the development of the BOS system.
Hi, my name is Alia. So now I would like to present about how to develop a behavioral observation skill. So, developing a behavioral observation skill involves a systematic process that ensures the skill is reliable, valid, and useful for its intent purpose. So, it has a step-by-step to create a comprehensive and effective behavioral observation skill. So for the first step is define the purpose and scope. Clearly outline the purpose of the scale. What behavior are you aiming to observe and measure? Define the specific context, population, and settings in which the scale will be used. For the second step is conduct a literature review. Research existing literature related to the behavior you want to observe. This will help you identify established behavior, relevant theories, and any existing observation scales that can serve as a starting point or inspiration. For the third step is behavior identification and definition. Identify the specific behaviors you want to observe. Define each behavior in clear and measurable terms. Avoid vague or subjective description. If possible, break down complex behavior into smaller observable components. For the next step is observe. Choose trained observe who are familiar with the context and behavior you're studying. Training is crucial to ensure consistency and minimize observer bias. For the next step is pilot testing. Create an initial version of the observation scale and conduct pilot testing. This involves having the observer use the scale in control setting to identify any issues, ambiguities, or inconsistencies in the scale design and instruction. For the next step is refinement and iteration. Based on the feedback from the pilot testing, refine the scale, make necessary adjustment to the behavior, definition, rating criteria, and instruction to improve clarity and reliability. For the next step is develop rating criteria. Establish clear and specific criteria for rating each behavior. This can include observable action, frequency, intensity, duration, or other relevant dimension. For the next step is scale format. Decide on the format of the scale. It could be a checklist, Likert scale, or other structure rating system. Next is training observe. Train your observe in using the scale. Provide them with detailed instruction, example, and practice session to ensure they understand the behavior definition and rating criteria. For the next step is data collection. Start collecting data using the refined observe scale. Ensure that observe are consistent in their interpretation and ratings. Next step is data analysis. Analyze the collected data to assess interactor reliability. This consistency among observed and construct validity, whether the scale measured what is supposed to measure. Next, refinement and validation. Based on the analyzed result, refine the scale further if needed. Continue to validate the scale effectiveness by comparing its result with others established method or outcome related to the observed behavior. Next is documentation and guideline. Create comprehensive documentation for the scale, including the clear instruction for observe, definition of behavior, rating criteria, and any necessary guideline for data collection. Next, long-term use and monitoring. Continuously use and monitor the scale in real-world setting. Collect feedback from observers and users to identify any ongoing issues and areas for improvement. And the last step is dissemination. Share your developed behavioral observation scale with relevant professional, research, or organization in the field. Document the development process and the validation result. So that's all for the step how to develop observation scale. Next, I pass to the next presenter.
Hi, Assalamualaikum, madam. My name is FARISHA. So my part is SWOT analysis. The first one is strength. Objective data collection is a behavior observation skill provide a structure and systematic way together. Objective data about behavior, potential bias in assessment. The second one is quantifiable metrics. The skill allow for measurement and quantification of behavior. The third one is standardization by providing a standard approach. The skill ensure consistency in observation and evaluations. The fourth one is research and analysis. It's a valuable tool for researchers to study behavior, make correlation, and identify trends across different population of situations. The last one is weaknesses. witnesses is limited scope. Behavior observation skills might not capture the full complexity of human behavior. The second one is observer bias. The accuracy of observations depends on the observer interpretation and judgment. The third one is resources intensive. Conducting behavior observation and recording data can be time consuming, especially when dealing with a largest number of participations. The fourth one is intrusiveness. Intrusiveness being observed might alter individual behavior, leading to effect and potential. The last one is skill requirement. Effective observation and data recording require trained observer, which could limit the skill applicable to those with proper training. Thank you again.
So for the opportunities, the first one is technology integration. Advancements in technology such as wearable devices and video recording can enhance the accuracy and objectivity of observations. The second one is customization. Skills can be adapted to different contexts and populations, broadening their potential applications in various fields like education, psychology, and healthcare. For the third one is data analysis tools. Development of sophisticated data analysis tools can help extract meaningful insights from the collected data, identifying subtle patterns and correlations. For the fourth one is longitudinal studies. Behavior observation skills can contribute to longitudinal studies tracking changes in behavior over time, potentially revealing development or progressive trends. The last one is interdisciplinary collaboration. Collaboration between these different disciplines such as psychology, sociology, and neuroscience can lead to the development of more comprehensive and effective skills. So for the traits is, the first one is ethical concerns. Privacy and consent issues arise when observing individuals, particularly in sensitive settings, which might lead to legal and ethical challenges. The second is validity and reliability. Ensuring the skill's validity, whether it measures that it's supposed to measure, and reliability, consistency of results is crucial. Poor measurement properties can undermine its usefulness. The next one is competing assessment methods. Other assessment methods, such as self-report, questionnaires, or interviews, will offer different perspectives and potentially challenge the relevance of behavioral observation. The fourth one is changing behaviors. As behaviors can change due to cultural shift or external factors, the relevance and accuracy of the scale might diminish over time. The last one is cost. Training observers, acquiring technology, and analyzing data can incur significant costs, making the scale less accessible to certain organizations or researchers. The specific strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and traits of a behavioral observation scale will depend on its design, application, and the context in which it's used. This analysis is a general framework and might need customization based on the actual scale and its implementation. That's all from me. Thank you. Hi.
So hi, my name is Putri dari SOPHEA. My part is about the suggestion and recommendation. For my part is I take from the weakness from the SWOT. So for the first one is a limited scope. They have a 2 point, which is the first one is include qualitative data. Include qualitative data is argument the scale with the open-ended question or qualitative operation to capture unique and context-specific behavior. The second one is a periodic review, which is the regularly review and update the predefined behavior to ensure they remain relevant. For the second is observer bias. For the first one is interrater reliability, is implement a process for assessing interoperability to identify and address instance of observer bias. The second one is clear guidelines. Is to develop detailed guidelines for observer that include examples and scenarios to help minimize subjective interpretations. For the second one is resource intensive. For the first point is a sampling strategy. Sampling strategy is consider using a random sampling techniques to reduce the number of the observers required while still maintaining representative data. The second point is technology integrations. is utilize digital tools and apps to streamline and data collection, and also reduce the manual effort needed for recording observation. For the fourth point for recommendation is intrusiveness. The first one is a gradual introduction to begin the observation. Nanti balik kan? Apa ni? Kita habis ke? Belum. Oh, asal? So for the part one is intrusiveness. The first one is a gradual introduction. Gradual introduction is a begin observer brusquely and gradually allowing a participant to acclimate to the presence of observer and minimize the Hawthorne effect. The second one is a hidden observation. Hidden observation is a use hidden camera or inconspicuous recording methods to ensure participants are less aware to being observed. The last one is a skill requirement. The first one is training materials. Training materials is one of the development comprehensive training materials, including a written instruction, video demonstration, and inactive modules to support observer skill and development. And the last one is observer mentorship. Observer mentorship is implement a mentorship program where experience the observer and also provide the guidance, feedbacks, and support to the new observers. So that's all from me.
Okay, for my part, as the behavior of observation skills is a performance appraisal developed by Gary Latham and Ken Wexley in the 1970. It focused on behavioral observations to evaluate employee performance, aligning with psychology principles. The boss provide a nuanced perspective, allowing organizations to assess and cultivate workplace cultures. Its strengths include its quantifiable assessment of behavior patterns, enable systematic evaluations of desired behaviors. However, the subjective nature of observations can introduce biases and inconsistencies, potentially affecting data accuracy. The observer effect emphasizes the delicate balance between observing natural behaviors and potential alterations when individuals are aware of being watched. The boss offer detailed insight into individual behaviors, but faces traits such as observer's bias, ethical considerations, and the resource intensive nature of conducting extensive observations. So for conclusions, the BOSS method offer a unique perspective on performance appraisals, promoting organizations to consider the intricacies of behavior within their evaluation frameworks by embracing its strength, addressing weakness, capitalizing on opportunities, and navigating threats. Organizations can harness the power of the BOSS method to drive employee growth and change organizations' culture, and ultimately achieve their goals and performance management. That's all for me. Thank you.